Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video, we're going to be doing the attic floor. And if you're new to this channel, my name's Josh. This channel is all about building your own house, saving a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe if you're into that kind of thing. But the first thing I got to do is get I'm using advantech OSB for the subfloor. It's 3/4 inch if you're not aware. So my dad's coming to help me lift that up into the attic. And then after that, we'll start putting it down on the attic floor. But there's a couple other things I got to prep for before I do that. But let's get up in the attic and get all that done. Let me explain to you what's going on here. So I got sawhorses set up with two 2x4s going across to help support the advantech. And the reason why we do this is we're doing it just as we would for the OSB going up on the roof. Is it gives us a place to stand it so you don't have to lift it up and then shift it up to the person that's above you. You can just let it rest there, and then when you're ready to have a piece come up to you, the ground man will lift it right up to you, and then you just drag it up on edge. And then as you can see here, I just put it on top of the pile nice and square. Gives me a place to stand too while I'm working. All right, so I'm climbing up here in the attic where I'm going to be working today. And if you see here, I got some bracing that I still need to do on this side yet. I just haven't had a chance to do it. But as you can see, you want to be very careful while walking around up here because we got a concrete floor that's right below us, so very important. So let's sneak on over here to the subfloor that we got up here, and we got several sheets. Let me show you here. We got a pile of advantech ready to go. So as you can see, these are 8 inches thick. So what I had to do here is pad up this side because these are not the actual attic truss. If you look here, we got attic trusses. Then I'm going to put a window here. And then I'm going to extend this flooring out across these rafters. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to pad those up. So just a word of caution, if you're up here in your attic working around, just be extra careful. I have a lot of experience climbing around rafters, so I'm not too worried. But if you haven't done it before, be extremely careful and wear safety equipment if you really have to. So I have some exciting news. I just hit 10,000 subscribers a couple days ago, and I am pumped. And I want to again say thank you guys for watching every day. I really do appreciate it. I never would have guessed my channel would have got to this. Okay, so I measured the bottom cord, and it's a 2-inch difference, which, you know, we go from the 2x8 bottom cord for the attic floor to a 2x6. So we just need that 2-inch difference to pad up the 2x6s so our floor can be the same level going across. So what I'd like to do is just take my tape measure, and when I set up my table saw to rip down lumber, I like to double check the blade. Even though the guide is set at 2 inches, it's always important because it can be off a little bit. All right, so what I like to do is make sure we're 2 inches from the guide and the blade. I have it set on 2 inches, but you always want to double check. And if you butt that against the blade, that looks really good. We got about 2 inches. You can be a little more accurate and measure from this side. So that's definitely the better way, is just butt it up against the fence to measure it. All right, so we're going to go ahead. I got 7 2x4 sitting beside me. We're going to rip them down 2 inches so we have the padding that's going to pad up our bottom cord on our truss. All right, we're going to do some ripping today. Okay, so first thing you need to do is clearly get it plugged in. I did a review video on this saw. If any of you guys have not checked it out, it was a Black Friday deal for $350. It retails for like $550 every day, but I don't know what the price is nowadays. All right, let's see if we got power. We're good to go. Let's get to ripping. Boom, got them all ripped. If you've got to rip down a bunch of boards the length, an easy way to do it is I got them all lined up back here. Then I came down here and measured up the 7'6" that we need on each end. So 7'6" on this end. I measured up off that end, did the same thing Then I took my framing square, went mark to mark, drew a line, and let me show you up close here. You can see up close, we got a mark going right across here, and that's gonna be 7'6" on all those pieces that we just ripped down. So that's a little time saver that some of you guys may not have known. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you've seen me do that before in the past. Now I'm just gonna use a cordless circular saw. This is the rigid one that a lot of you guys see me use, and just cut right down that line. And again, that's a technique that's really good for something that doesn't have to be perfect. Now, if you needed these spot on, the same exact measurement, you're gonna wanna cut them individually. Now, I measured these to be pretty tight, so might have to peck them in with a hammer. There we go, nice snug fit. It's always a pain working up here in these trusses. So. Just gonna put a nail in about every 18 inches or so. If you're wondering why these aren't 2x8, it's because they're not real attic trusses for holding weight. So when you put weight on the side, that's not the actual attic truss. Where the camera settings right now where the attic trusses are sitting, but that's why they're not 2x8 and just 2x6. So they're just built a little different, but you can't put weight up here, just don't want to put a lot. All right, as you can see here, I just need a little filler right there to finish this one off, but the rest of these are looking really good. And the reason why there's a filler here is because I put this in a while ago when I was framing the trusses up, just so I can have a flat spot to work, but it needs finished up. And the floor is going to be going clear over to here, right? So this is going to be a 12x8 area. That's actual attic trusses. So you can see here is actually a ceiling, 8-foot ceiling in here. To where back here is just for a little extra storage I'm building. So what I'm going to do is just tack this stuff down, about 4 or 5 nails in each sheet, because all I got here is my framing nails and I don't want to waste them. So I'm going to get sheathing nails to nail it off. And since this is an attic, I'm not too concerned about squeaks or anything like that because you're only up here every so often. So just going to tack it down good and then shoot it off with sheathing nails. So what I'm going to do is slide the sheet tight against this truss and go ahead and tack it down. All right, so I got that piece of sheathing nailed. That was our first one. And now what I got to do is right here, as you can see, this tongue, or this edge, I should say, overhangs this truss. So what I got to do is put a block right here and cut around that with my next sheet of plywood that's right there, so it has a place to rest on. All right, so I found a scrap block here. As long as it's longer than from here to here, it's fine. So we just line it up from the top to the top. All right, I'm standing on the next sheet of plywood that's going right here. So to cut out around this, all you gotta do, get a measurement up to the edge of it. Looks like we got about 18 inches and 36. So you wanna be careful not to be too tight because these slope down. So you wanna give it a nice little room to set in there, right? And then just transfer that measurement onto your plywood. All right, so we got our measurement going to it. Now we need our distance that we got to take off of it from the edge. So I just measure the other sheet's edge, how far it is. Straight edge and make a mark from mark to mark and square off the edge here to get your cut. This is the beauty of circular saws that are cordless. You can just take them up in the attic to do all your work without having a cord. Just cut that out. Let's see if we can get this piece of plywood in. This is going to be tricky. So that first sheet of plywood needs to be cut off because we have this piece of plywood that's going to be butting here and needs a place to nail. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take my saw and cut this edge off. And you need to make sure you set the depth of your blade, if you got to do something similar, to no deeper than the plywood at 3/4 of an inch. So this is a little way to plywood surf. Bet you haven't seen that done before. Okay, now that's where we want it, and typically we wouldn't put the tongue on the outside like this, but the next sheet's going to be ripped, so we're going to have a solid edge to hit against with a piece of 2x4 and a hammer. So we're not too worried about this tongue like this, but since there's a slope here, I figured it'd be better to slide this in and nail it down before I do that side. So now that we got this piece down, we need to get a measurement for how wide this one needs to be. And don't forget, I need to make it a little shorter because it's lips on here. If not, you won't be able to squeeze it in. So, looks like 41. Check down here, make sure that works just in case there's a little difference. 41, looking good. Okay, so now I'm going to slide a sheet out and rip it down to 41. Let me just check this, just make sure too. All right, looks good, 41. So I'm going to get this sheet out here and let it overhang off the edge so I can rip it down. Okay, so we'll pull 41 this way. And then come to the edge of the piece of plywood. Whoa. This is just so fun up here climbing around. Okay, so the same thing, 41. Now where is my chalk line? Oh, dang nabbit. I gotta go down and get my chalk line. Okay, now what I'm going to do is slide this into place. And be careful not to slide off the sheathing yourself. Now if you're doing this as the actual subfloor in your house, you would stagger the joints every 4 foot. But since it's just attic, just for a little extra flooring, I ain't too concerned here with all that because it's only for structural strength and we'll have plenty of that when the house is all done. All right, I got all of the pieces of plywood tacked down. And now underneath these pieces of plywood, you're going to have to put regular insulation. You ain't going to be able to blow this in right here, obviously. So there's going to be that to fight with. And right here on this wall, I got a window that's going in here, so it's going to let in some nice natural light. And right down here is where I'm going to have the ladder coming in at. So when you walk up, you're going to have this nice 12 by 8 storage. And then if you need some light storage, back here, and these 2 pieces of plywood are going to finish up over here once I build this cathedral ceiling wall there. So that's all there is to DIYing your own attic space. Okay, so that's the end of that video, and if you have any questions or comments, be sure to post them below. Maybe I can help you out. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Like I said, 10,000, I can't believe it. Let's see if we can get to 15, 20, 30. And if you have not yet smashed that like button, be sure to do so as well. The next video is probably going to be about installing windows or building some more interior walls or something of that nature. So be sure to ring the bell so you get a notification every time I release a new video. And if you can, please smash that like button. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Peace.